The moment everything changed. The night was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound feel bigger than it should be. A soft wind moved through the empty street, carrying the smell of rain and cold dust. On the side of the road, an old homeless man named Sam sat with his small dog curled beside him. The dog, a tiny brown creature with tired eyes, rested its head on Sam's leg as if that place was the safest spot in the world. Sam gently brushed the dog's back with shaky hands, whispering soft words to calm it. He did this every night. The dog was the only family he had left. And in moments of silence, the only warmth he could count on. But tonight, something felt different. The air was too heavy, too still, like the world was holding its breath. And Sam felt it deep in his bones, a small worry crawling into his chest even before anything happened. The sound came first. A low rumble. Then louder. Then sharp. A motorcycle engine tearing through the quiet street. The dog lifted its head. Sam looked up slowly, already nervous because loud engines always brought trouble for people like him. He pulled his thin blanket closer, but he knew a blanket could not protect him from the kind of trouble that was coming. The motorcycle stopped only a few meters away. The rider jumped off with a laugh that felt cold and careless. He was young, tall, wearing black clothes and a helmet with a shiny visor. He did not look like someone who struggled. He looked like someone who believed he owned the world. He walked with the kind of arrogance that makes other people shrink without saying a word. Sam just sat still. He hoped the rider would ignore him. He hoped the night would end quietly. He hoped the universe would give him just one peaceful moment. But tonight, the universe had other plans. It was Keanu Reeves. He had been walking home after a long day, wearing a simple hoodie, hoping to enjoy a peaceful night. He liked to walk alone sometimes to clear his thoughts. But when he saw what happened, something inside him tightened. He could not walk away. Not from this. Not from a helpless man and a small dog being hurt for someone's amusement. He stepped forward, slow but steady, the kind of movement that makes the air feel heavier. He did not speak yet. He simply walked into the weak streetlight, and for the first time, the rider noticed someone else was there. The rider frowned. "Who the hell are you?" Keanu's voice was calm, almost too calm for what had just happened. "I think you already know what you did," he said quietly. "And I think you know it was wrong." The rider laughed again, but this time there was a tiny crack in his confidence. He did not expect someone to intervene. Especially not a stranger who looked so calm and controlled. "Mind your business," he said, trying to sound tough. Keanu took another step closer. "I am," he replied softly. "Because kindness is everyone's business. Respect is everyone's business. And hurting someone who cannot fight back is something I cannot ignore." The street fell silent. Even the wind stopped again. Sam held his dog tightly, tears falling down his face. He looked at Keanu with a mix of fear and hope, wondering if maybe, just maybe, this stranger was someone different. Someone who cared. The rider clenched his fists. "You really want to fight about a dog?" he said. Keanu did not flinch. "No," he answered slowly, "I want you to understand something. Every choice you make comes back to you. Hurting someone weaker is not strength. It is weakness covered with noise." The rider stepped back slightly. His bravado started slipping like sand through fingers. The situation was no longer fun for him. He could not control it. He could not control the man standing in front of him. But the story was far from over. Because the rider made one more mistake. He tried to push Keanu. And that was the moment the night changed forever. Keanu grabbed his wrist gently but firmly, stopping the push like it was nothing. The rider's eyes widened in shock. Keanu leaned closer and whispered, "Walk away. Before you destroy your whole future in one night." The rider froze. The dog whimpered. Sam held his breath. And the world seemed to wait for what would happen next. But this was only the beginning. And none of them knew that the next hours would uncover secrets, unexpected choices, and truths that would test all three of them in ways they never imagined. The night was not done with them. Not even close. The night opens old wounds. The writer stood frozen, his wrist held gently but firmly by Keanu. It was strange how such a soft grip could carry so much power. The writer tried to pull his hand back, but he could not. Not because Keanu was stronger, but because something in Keanu's eyes made him pause. There was no rage, no desire to hurt. Instead, there was a deep disappointment, the kind that cuts deeper than anger ever could. Sam watched with fear and hope mixed painfully in his chest. He held his small dog close, feeling its trembling body against his own. He whispered, "It's okay, boy, it's okay," but his voice kept breaking. The dog gave a weak whine, barely able to lift its head. Each soft cry stabbed through Sam's heart. It reminded him of every moment life had kicked him down. Of every night he wished someone, anyone, would stand up for him. The writer stepped back slightly. His bravado started slipping like sand through fingers. The situation was no longer fun for him. He could not control it. He could not control the man standing in front of him. But the story was far from over. Because the writer made one more mistake. He tried to push Keanu. And that was the moment the night changed forever. Keanu grabbed his wrist gently but firmly, stopping the push like it was nothing. The writer's eyes widened in shock. Keanu leaned closer and whispered, "Walk away. Before you destroy your whole future in one night." The writer froze. The dog whimpered. Sam held his breath. And the world seemed to wait for what would happen next. But this was only the beginning. And none of them knew that the next hours would uncover secrets, unexpected choices, and truths that would test all three of them in ways they never imagined. The night was not done with them. Not even close. The night opens old wounds. The writer stood frozen, his wrist held gently but firmly by Keanu. It was strange how such a soft grip could carry so much power. The writer tried to pull his hand back, but he could not. Not because Keanu was stronger, but because something in Keanu's eyes made him pause. There was no rage, no desire to hurt. Instead, there was a deep disappointment, the kind that cuts deeper than anger ever could. Sam watched with fear and hope mixed painfully in his chest. He held his small dog close, feeling its trembling body against his own. He whispered, "It's okay, boy, it's okay," but his voice kept breaking. The dog gave a weak whine, barely able to lift its head. Each soft cry stabbed through Sam's heart. It reminded him of every moment life had kicked him down. Of every night he wished someone, anyone, would stand up for him. Keanu finally released the writer's wrist, letting it fall to his side. The writer stepped back quickly, rubbing his wrist as if it burned. He glared at Keanu but could not find the same boldness he had earlier. The streetlight revealed a sudden shakiness in his breaths, as if he was finally realizing that his actions were not just a joke. They had consequences. Real ones. "You should go now," Keanu said softly, his voice steady like calm water. "Before this becomes something you cannot undo." The writer looked at him for a long moment. Then he looked at Sam, at the dog, and finally at his motorcycle. He hesitated, caught in a small war between pride and fear. Part of him wanted to show he did not care. Another part of him, a quieter and more honest part, felt something he had not felt in a long time, shame. Finally, the writer muttered, "Whatever," and stepped back. He climbed onto his motorcycle, but his hands were shaking just enough for Keanu to notice. He revved the engine loudly as if that noise could hide his uncertainty. Then he sped away, the roar echoing down the street until it faded into silence once more. As the sound disappeared, the street fell into a heavy calm. The kind that arrives after a storm, carrying both relief and exhaustion. Keanu slowly turned toward Sam. Sam froze. He was not used to people approaching him for good reasons. He lowered his eyes, unable to meet Keanu's gaze. "I'm sorry," Sam whispered, as if he was the one who had done something wrong. "I didn't want trouble. I didn't want anyone hurt." Keanu crouched beside him, his voice gentle. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said. "None of this was your fault." The moment everything changed. The night was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound feel bigger than it should be. A soft wind moved through the empty street, carrying the smell of rain and cold dust. On the side of the road, an old homeless man named Sam sat with his small dog curled beside him. The dog, a tiny brown creature with tired eyes, rested its head on Sam's leg as if that place was the safest spot in the world. Sam gently brushed the dog's back with shaky hands, whispering soft words to calm it. He did this every night. The dog was the only family he had left. And in moments of silence, the only warmth he could count on. But tonight, something felt different. The air was too heavy, too still, like the world was holding its breath. And Sam felt it deep in his bones, a small worry crawling into his chest even before anything happened. The sound came first. A low rumble. Then louder. Then sharp. A motorcycle engine tearing through the quiet street. The dog lifted its head. Sam looked up slowly, already nervous because loud engines always brought trouble for people like him. He pulled his thin blanket closer, but he knew a blanket could not protect him from the kind of trouble that was coming. The motorcycle stopped only a few meters away. The rider jumped off with a laugh that felt cold and careless. He was young, tall, wearing black clothes and a helmet with a shiny visor. He did not look like someone who struggled. He looked like someone who believed he owned the world. He walked with the kind of arrogance that makes other people shrink without saying a word. Sam just sat still. He hoped the rider would ignore him. He hoped the night would end quietly. He hoped the universe would give him just one peaceful moment. But tonight, the universe had other plans. The rider stepped back slightly. His bravado started slipping like sand through fingers. The situation was no longer fun for him. He could not control it. He could not control the man standing in front of him. But the story was far from over. Because the rider made one more mistake. He tried to push Keanu. And that was the moment the night changed forever. Keanu grabbed his wrist gently but firmly, stopping the push like it was nothing. The rider's eyes widened in shock. Keanu leaned closer and whispered, "Walk away. Before you destroy your whole future in one night." The rider froze. The dog whimpered. Sam held his breath. And the world seemed to wait for what would happen next. But this was only the beginning. And none of them knew that the next hours would uncover secrets, unexpected choices, and truths that would test all three of them in ways they never imagined. The night was not done with them. Not even close. The night opens old wounds. The rider stood frozen, his wrist held gently but firmly by Keanu. It was strange how such a soft grip could carry so much power. The rider tried to pull his hand back, but he could not. Not because Keanu was stronger, but because something in Keanu's eyes made him pause. There was no rage, no desire to hurt. Instead, there was a deep disappointment, the kind that cuts deeper than anger ever could. Sam watched with fear and hope mixed painfully in his chest. He held his small dog close, feeling its trembling body against his own. He whispered, "It's okay, boy, it's okay," but his voice kept breaking. The dog gave a weak whine, barely able to lift its head. Each soft cry stabbed through Sam's heart. It reminded him of every moment life had kicked him down. Of every night he wished someone, anyone, would stand up for him. Keanu finally released the rider's wrist, letting it fall to his side. The rider stepped back quickly, rubbing his wrist as if it burned. He glared at Keanu but could not find the same boldness he had earlier. The streetlight revealed a sudden shakiness in his breaths, as if he was finally realizing that his actions were not just a joke. They had consequences. Real ones. You should go now, Keanu said softly, his voice steady like calm water. Before this becomes something you cannot undo. The rider looked at him for a long moment. Then he looked at Sam, at the dog, and finally at his motorcycle. He hesitated, caught in a small war between pride and fear. Part of him wanted to show he did not care. Another part of him, a quieter and more honest part, felt something he had not felt in a long time, shame. Finally, the rider muttered, "Whatever," and stepped back. He climbed onto his motorcycle, but his hands were shaking just enough for Keanu to notice. He revved the engine loudly as if that noise could hide his uncertainty. Then he sped away, the roar echoing down the street until it faded into silence once more. As the sound disappeared, the street fell into a heavy calm. The kind that arrives after a storm, carrying both relief and exhaustion. Keanu slowly turned toward Sam. Sam froze. He was not used to people approaching him for good reasons. He lowered his eyes, unable to meet Keanu's gaze. "I'm sorry," Sam whispered, as if he was the one who had done something wrong. "I didn't want trouble. I didn't want anyone hurt." Keanu crouched beside him, his voice gentle. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said. "None of this was your fault." Sam's eyes filled with tears. He tried to hide them, but his hands shook too much. "People get angry when they see me," he said quietly. "They think I am dirty. Useless. Like I should not be on the street." Keanu listened carefully. He did not rush to speak. He let Sam's words settle in the quiet air, giving them weight instead of brushing them aside. Then he said, "You are not useless. You are a person. You deserve respect. Everyone does." Sam nodded weakly but did not fully believe it. Life had taught him otherwise for too long. Keanu looked at the injured dog. "Is he hurt badly?" he asked. Sam gently lifted the dog's small body. The dog whimpered again. "He is strong," Sam said softly, "but he is old. And the kick was hard," he swallowed, his voice trembling. "I don't have money for a vet. I just try to keep him warm and fed." Keanu took a slow breath, thinking. Something deep inside him tightened. This scene, this pain, it stirred memories he kept locked away. Sam noticed Keanu's expression change slightly. "Sir," Sam whispered, "thank you for helping. You don't have to stay. I'm used to this life. It's okay." Keanu shook his head. "It's not okay," he said quietly. "No one should be used to suffering." Sam looked up, surprised by the depth in Keanu's words. It felt like this stranger carried wounds too, hidden behind calm eyes. Keanu stood and offered his hand. "Come on," he said. "Let's get your dog checked." Sam blinked. "Checked?" "Yes," Keanu said gently. "There's a small clinic down the street. I know the doctor. He is kind. He won't turn you away." Sam hesitated. He was used to being refused, turned out, ignored. Hope felt dangerous. Fragile. Like something that always slipped through his fingers. "Are you sure?" Sam whispered. Keanu nodded. "I am." Sam slowly took Keanu's hand. It had been years since someone touched him without disgust. The feeling alone nearly broke him. Keanu helped him stand up and supported him carefully, as if he was afraid to hurt him. Sam held his dog close to his chest, whispering to it with shaky breaths. They began walking quietly toward the clinic. The night felt different now, less cold, less empty. But as they moved, Keanu's face grew distant, lost in a memory that refused to stay buried. Sam noticed. "Sir," he said softly, "are you okay?" Keanu paused for a moment. He looked ahead, at the dark street stretching in front of them. "I'm fine," he said. But his voice carried a heaviness Sam could not ignore. After a long silence, Keanu added in a low tone, "Someone once hurt my dog too. A long time ago," he swallowed, the memory cutting deeper than he expected. "I still remember the sound my dog made. That small cry, it never goes away." Sam looked at him with gentle understanding. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Keanu managed a soft, sad smile. "That's why I could not walk away tonight," he said. "I know what that pain feels like." The wind moved gently around them as they continued walking together, two men from different worlds, connected by the same silent wounds. But what they did not know was that the rider had not gone far. He had stopped at the end of the street, hidden in the shadows, watching them walk away. His pride burned. His anger twisted. Shame and fury fought inside him. And in his confusion, he made a decision that would change everything. He turned off his bike and followed them on foot. Quiet. Angry. Unseen. And the night, which had already opened one wound, was about to open another. Shadows following close behind. The walk to the clinic was slow because Sam was weak, and the small dog trembled in his arms with every step. Keanu walked beside him, matching his pace, ready to steady him whenever he stumbled. The street was darker here, where the lights flickered like tired eyes trying to stay awake. The sound of their footsteps echoed quietly, blending with the soft whimpers coming from the dog. Sam looked down at the small creature pressed against his chest. "Stay with me, buddy," he whispered. His voice cracked as if speaking hurt. "You've been with me through everything. Don't leave me now." Keanu listened, his chest tightening. The love in Sam's voice brought back old memories, memories he spent years trying to bury. He remembered how loss felt. How helpless it made you feel. How one moment could change your whole world. It made him walk even closer to Sam, as if he could shield him from the past, from pain, from the world itself. But neither of them noticed the shadow behind them. The rider followed from a distance, his face twisted with confusion and anger. He had not expected guilt to hit him so hard. He had not expected the stranger who confronted him to be someone who could shake him to his core with only a few words. He felt embarrassed, exposed, and his pride clawed at him like something alive. He did not know why he followed. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was shame. Or maybe it was something deeper, something he did not yet understand. But he kept walking, staying hidden behind parked cars and dark corners. Keanu and Sam reached a small clinic with a dim sign that glowed weakly in pale yellow. The metal door looked old, but clean. There was a small light shining inside, meaning someone was still working. Keanu knocked softly, and a moment later, an older man opened the door. He wore glasses and a tired smile, the kind worn by people who spend their lives helping others even when they are exhausted. "Keanu," the doctor said gently, "you're out late." "I need your help," Keanu replied. "It's urgent." The doctor looked at the dog in Sam's arms and immediately stepped aside. Come in, come in." Sam entered slowly, almost unsure if he was allowed to breathe inside a place like this. The clinic smelled of medicine and warm light. It felt safe, like stepping into a quiet pocket of the world where pain paused for a moment. The doctor motioned for Sam to place the dog on a small table. "It's okay," he said softly. "Let me take a look." Sam hesitated, afraid to let go, afraid the dog would disappear the moment he loosened his arms. Keanu placed a hand on Sam's shoulder. "He's safe," he said. "Let the doctor help him." Sam nodded and gently laid the dog on the table. The small creature whimpered, his eyes half open. The doctor examined him carefully, touching gently, speaking in soft whispers as if the dog could understand. Keanu stood beside Sam, watching the doctor's movements. The doctor's face remained focused but calm. After a few quiet minutes, he looked up. "He's hurt," the doctor said, but he's strong. His ribs are bruised, but nothing is broken. He'll need rest and care, but he will recover. Sam let out a breath he had been holding for too long. Tears filled his eyes again, but this time they were not from fear. They were from relief so deep it felt like a river breaking through a stone. "Thank you," Sam whispered. "Thank you so much." The doctor nodded kindly. "I'll give you some medicine for him. And food. He will heal faster with proper care." Sam lowered his head, overwhelmed. I don't have money," he said softly, ashamed. "I can't pay." Keanu stepped forward before the doctor could answer. "I'll take care of it," he said gently. "Don't worry." Sam stared at him with disbelief. No one had paid for anything for him in years. Not food. Not shelter. Not kindness. He swallowed hard, unable to understand why someone like Keanu would help someone like him. "Why are you doing this?" Sam whispered. Keanu looked at him for a long moment, and the answer came quietly. "Because someone once helped me when I needed it most," he said. "And I never forgot how much it meant." Sam wanted to reply, but words were too small for the gratitude in his heart. So he just nodded, his hands trembling. The doctor prepared medicine and a small bag of food. He spoke gently as he explained how to care for the dog over the next few days. Sam listened carefully, holding every word like a gift. But while all of this happened inside, something darker unfolded outside. The rider stood near the clinic's door, hidden by the shadows. He had followed them without thinking, but now that they were inside, he felt trapped in his own thoughts. He leaned against the wall, looking down at his hands. They trembled. He tried to stop them, but his anger, shame, and confusion made his chest feel tight. He replayed the moment he kicked the dog again and again in his mind. Each time, the sound of the dog's cry cut deeper. He had always been reckless, always pushing boundaries to feel powerful, but tonight something broke through his noise. Something about the old man's tears. Something about the stranger's calm voice. Something about the dog's cry that felt too familiar. He remembered being a kid, sitting on the floor while people yelled around him. He remembered curling up beside his own dog, the only friend he had back then. He remembered someone hurting that dog just to make him cry. And suddenly, the guilt hit him like a heavy wave. He sank to the ground, pressing his hands against his face, breathing fast. He did not want to be the kind of man he had become. But he was. And he hated it. Inside, the doctor finished treating the dog, and Sam held him gently again. Keanu stood close, watching them with a soft expression. "Sam," Keanu said quietly, "you don't have to walk alone tonight. I'll help you get somewhere safe." Sam nodded, still overwhelmed. But when they opened the clinic door to step back into the night, they did not expect to see the rider sitting on the sidewalk, bent forward, shaking, and wiping his face like he was trying to erase himself. Sam flinched and stepped back, clutching his dog tightly. Keanu did not move. He stayed where he was, watching the rider with a calm, unreadable expression. The rider looked up, his eyes red, his voice cracking. I didn't mean to," he whispered, but the words fell apart before they reached the air. "I don't know what's wrong with me." The street fell quiet. Time stretched. Sam waited for anger from Keanu. He waited for harshness. But instead, Keanu stepped forward slowly. "Tell me why you followed us," Keanu said softly. The rider swallowed hard. "Because I wanted to leave," he said, "but I couldn't. Something felt wrong inside me. I never felt that before." Keanu asked, "Wrong how?" The rider looked away. Like I saw myself from outside. And I hated it," his voice trembled. "I hurt that old man's dog. I hurt him. And I don't even know why. I don't know." Sam watched with a tight chest. He had never seen someone like this, someone who caused so much pain yet looked so broken afterward. Keanu crouched down, meeting the rider's eyes. "You feel guilty," he said gently. "That means you still have a heart. But guilt is only useful if you do something with it." The rider blinked fast. "Do something, like what?" Keanu held his gaze. "Like change." The rider looked confused, scared, young. "I don't know how." Keanu slowly stood and offered his hand. Sam stared in shock. The rider stared too, unable to believe what he was seeing. "Start," Keanu said softly, "by standing up." The rider hesitated. But then he reached for Keanu's hand. And that was how the night took its next unexpected turn. A truth none of them expected. When the rider placed his trembling hand into Keanu's, it felt like the air shifted around them. It was a slow, unsure movement, like someone stepping forward after living too long in darkness. His fingers shook as they met Keanu's calm, steady grip. For a moment, he did not look like a man who had kicked a helpless dog. He looked like someone who had finally seen the truth about himself, and was terrified of it. Sam watched the scene with a mix of fear and confusion. He held his small dog tightly, feeling its warm body pressed against his chest. The dog had stopped whimpering, but it was still weak. Sam did not trust the rider. Not yet. Not after what he had done. But seeing him cry, seeing that shame on his face, made Sam feel something he did not expect. A small, painful feeling inside that said maybe the world was not only made of monsters. Maybe some people lost themselves for a moment and did not know how to come back. Keanu pulled the rider gently to his feet. The rider stood, wiping his face with the sleeve of his jacket, trying to hide the trembling in his voice. "I don't know why I did it," he whispered. "I didn't think. I just acted. And then it felt so wrong." Keanu looked at him carefully. "Wrong is a beginning," he said softly. "It means you still understand the difference between harm and kindness." The rider shook his head slowly. "I don't feel like I understand anything." "You will," Keanu said. "If you keep choosing better than before." Sam swallowed hard. His heart was beating too fast. Part of him wanted to tell the rider to leave. To stay away. To never come near him or his dog again. But another part of him could not ignore how broken the rider looked now. The streetlight above cast a pale glow on his face, and in that light, he looked like someone who had been carrying a heavy weight for years, an invisible weight he never told anyone about. Keanu took a small step back. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. The rider hesitated. Then he whispered, "Liam." Sam blinked. The name felt too soft for what he had seen earlier. But maybe people were not just the worst thing they ever did. Maybe there was always more. "Liam," Keanu said slowly, "tell me something. Was tonight the first time you hurt someone like that?" Liam froze. And the silence that followed was sharper than any blade. Keanu did not push him. He just waited. Calm. Patient. Liam looked at the ground. His breath became uneven again. His shoulders sank. "No," he finally whispered. "I've been angry for a long time. At everything. At everyone. I don't know why. I feel like I'm burning inside. And I don't know how to stop." Sam tightened his grip on his dog, but his expression softened, not because he forgave Liam, but because he understood something. Pain. Deep pain. The kind that makes people do things they regret. Keanu took a slow breath. "Anger is a loud voice," he said quietly. "And when people listen to it too long, they forget the quiet voice inside that tells them who they really want to be. Liam closed his eyes for a moment. "I think I forgot that voice years ago." "Then tonight is your chance to find it again," Keanu said. Liam opened his eyes. They were red, tired, confused. "How?" he asked softly. Keanu did something unexpected. He turned slightly toward Sam. "Sam," he said gently, "can Liam come closer? He wants to understand the damage he caused. But only if you feel safe." Sam felt a deep shake run through him. He had not expected to be asked. People rarely cared if he felt safe. He looked down at his dog, who was awake now but weak. He thought about the kick. The pain. The fear. He thought about the years of cruelty he had faced from strangers. Even now, part of him wanted to say no. But then he looked at Liam's face, broken, scared, lost. And something inside Sam whispered that maybe this moment mattered. Maybe helping someone change, even a little, was worth the risk. Sam took a long, careful breath. "You can, come closer," he said softly, but slowly. Liam nodded, his throat tight. He stepped forward with hesitance, each movement gentle, as if afraid of making the wrong choice again. He stopped 2 steps away from Sam. Sam lowered the dog slightly so Liam could see. The dog looked at Liam with tired eyes, confused but not hateful. Liam's breath caught in his throat. His voice broke. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Sam felt something strange, a mix of fear and compassion weaving together. "You hurt him," Sam said softly, but his voice was not accusing. It was simply honest. Liam nodded, tears running down his face. "I know," he whispered. "And I hate myself for it." The street grew quiet again, like the world was listening. Sam looked at Keanu, unsure. Keanu said gently, "Sometimes people break because they were broken before. But breaking others will never make them whole." Liam wiped his face again, shaking. "I don't want to be like this," he whispered. "I don't want to be someone who hurts others." Keanu nodded. "Then don't walk away from this moment. Feel it. Learn from it." Liam looked at Sam again, ashamed but sincere. "If you let me," he whispered, "I want to help your dog. I don't know how, but I want to make up for what I did." Sam hesitated. The wound inside him was deep. Trust did not come easy. Forgiveness was not simple. And he did not know if he could ever forget the moment Liam's boot hit the dog. But he also saw something rare, a man who genuinely wanted to change. Sam took a careful breath. "I don't know if I can forgive you," he said quietly. "Not tonight. Maybe not ever. But, if you really want to do something good, then help us get through the night." Liam nodded quickly, almost desperately. "I will. Just tell me how." Before any of them could speak again, a sudden noise came from down the street. Loud. Sharp. Like something metal falling or someone tripping. Keanu immediately turned his head toward the sound. Sam clutched his dog tighter. Liam froze. The dark shape at the end of the street began moving toward them. Slow. Heavy. Uneven. And in that moment, Keanu realized something frightening. Someone else had been watching them. And they were not coming with good intentions. The stranger in the dark. The shape at the end of the street moved slowly, its steps dragging as if each foot was too heavy to lift. The sound echoed across the empty road, mixing with the cold wind and the quiet breaths of the 3 men standing outside the clinic. The weak streetlights flickered again, throwing long shadows that stretched and twisted across the pavement. Sam held his dog close, feeling the small heartbeat against his chest. Fear crawled through him, the same fear he had felt many nights before when strangers approached him in the dark with no kindness in their hearts. He whispered softly to himself, "Not again, not tonight." Keanu stood still, his eyes locked on the approaching figure. His body was calm, but inside, a silent readiness formed, like a strength that woke up only when danger was near. His breathing slowed. His posture straightened. The soft calm in him shifted into something sharp and aware. Liam stepped back slightly, nervously wiping his face. He whispered, "Who is that? Did he follow us? Is he with the people who hate the homeless around here?" Keanu did not answer immediately. He kept watching, waiting for more light to hit the stranger so he could understand what was coming toward them. The figure finally stepped under a weak streetlight. Sam's breath caught. Liam's shoulders tensed. Keanu narrowed his eyes. The man walking toward them was tall, but his movements were slow and unsteady. He wore an old coat, worn-out shoes, and his hair was messy, as if he had been running or wandering for a long time. His face looked pale in the dim light, and his eyes seemed distant, like someone lost in a world no one else could see. Sam whispered, "I've seen him before, he stays near the station sometimes, he talks to himself." Liam swallowed. "So he's homeless too?" Sam nodded slightly. "Yes. But he's always scared. He always looks like someone hurt him before." Keanu kept observing the man carefully. Something about the stranger's eyes made him understand that this was not a person coming to cause harm, not intentionally. But people in pain sometimes behaved unpredictably. The man stopped a few steps away. His voice came out shaky and broken. "I heard shouting, I heard someone crying." He looked at Sam's dog and flinched. Is the dog hurt? Did someone hurt him?" The way he asked made his voice crack like something inside him was breaking. Sam took a small step back, unsure if he should trust him. Keanu spoke gently. "The dog is injured, but he is safe now. We just came from the clinic." The man nodded slowly, tears gathering in the corners of his eyes. Good, I wanted to help, I wanted to come earlier." He clutched his coat tightly. "But I was scared." Liam whispered quietly, "Why is he crying?" Keanu looked at the man and answered softly, "Because he recognizes pain when he sees it." The man suddenly covered his face with both hands and let out a small, broken sound. "I had a dog once, someone hurt him, they laughed, and I couldn't stop them." His voice trembled. "I didn't want that to happen again. When I heard the dog cry, I ran here." Sam's eyes softened. He knew what it felt like to lose the only warmth in your life. Keanu stepped forward slowly. "You did the right thing coming here," he said. "You cared. That matters." But before the man could speak again, something unexpected happened. Liam suddenly stepped closer, his expression filled with guilt and heavy shame. He whispered, "I was the one who hurt the dog." The man stopped crying and stared at Liam with wide, hollow eyes. Sam froze, unsure what would happen next. Liam took a deep breath, choking on the words. "I kicked him, I don't know why, I'm sorry, I'm trying to change, but I did it." For a moment, silence hung heavy in the cold air. The man looked at Liam with heartbreak in his eyes, not anger. "Why?" he whispered. "Why would you hurt something small? Something helpless?" Liam swallowed, his hands shaking again. "Because I was angry, not at the dog, just angry at life, at myself. I made a terrible choice, and I don't want to be that person again." The man stared at him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he stepped closer and placed a trembling hand on Liam's shoulder. "Then don't be," he said softly. "Don't let one mistake become your whole life." Liam's breath broke. He lowered his head, shaking from emotion he did not know how to process. This stranger, who looked broken beyond repair, was speaking to him with more compassion than anyone else had. Sam watched the scene, feeling something shift inside the night. It was strange, three strangers, broken in different ways, standing together because of one small dog. Life had brought them all to the same painful place. And now something was knitting them together in ways none of them expected. Keanu let the moment settle before he spoke again. "What's your name?" he asked the new man gently. The man wiped his eyes. Tom, he whispered. Keanu nodded. Tom, you're safe here. No one will hurt you. We're all just trying to get through the night. Tom nodded slowly, as if those words were the first warmth he had felt in years. The wind grew colder, wrapping around them like a warning that the night was far from over. The clinic light flickered behind them. Cars passed distantly. The world kept moving, but something important was happening in this small corner of the street. Then, very quietly, Tom said something that changed the direction of the night. I saw the rider earlier, Tom whispered. Before he kicked the dog. Liam froze. Sam looked up sharply. Keanu's face became serious, focused. Tom continued, I saw him talking to two other men before he came down this road. They were arguing, they looked angry. Keanu's voice lowered. Did you hear what they said? Tom nodded slowly. Yes, they said they needed money, they said they would take it from the old man if they saw him again. Sam's entire body went cold. Keanu felt something tighten in his chest. Did they follow you? He asked Tom. Tom shook his head. I don't know, but they went the same direction you all walked. As if on cue, distant footsteps echoed again. Slow. Heavy. But not one pair. Not two. Three. Keanu turned his head sharply. This time, the danger was real. And it was coming straight toward them. The night that rebuilt them. The footsteps grew louder, echoing through the empty street like warning drums. Three figures moved into view, their shapes tall and tense, their steps heavy with intention. The weak streetlights flickered again, painting their faces in shifting shadows. Sam held his dog tighter, his heart pounding as fear wrapped around him like cold chains. Tom stepped back, trembling, whispering quick, broken breaths. Liam froze completely, every muscle stiff, regret and panic tangling inside him. Keanu stood still, but something in him sharpened, like a quiet storm building behind calm eyes. He moved a step forward, placing himself between Sam, Tom, Liam, and the approaching men. There was no aggression in his stance, only quiet readiness, the kind that came from experience, strength, and a deep sense of responsibility. The three men stopped a few feet away. Their clothes were rough, their eyes hard and hungry. One of them pointed at Sam. There he is, he said in a low voice. The old man with the dog. We told you we'd come back for our money. Sam's breath caught. I don't have money, he whispered. I never had. The largest of the men stepped forward. That's not our problem. Liam stepped closer to Keanu, whispering shakily, these are the same guys I spoke to earlier, before everything. Keanu nodded slightly without taking his eyes off the men. Stay behind me. Tom grabbed Sam's arm, helping him stay steady. The dog whimpered softly, sensing the rising danger. The men stared at Keanu, sizing him up. The leader took a step forward, smirking. Move aside, he said. This doesn't concern you. Keanu's voice was soft, almost gentle. It does now. The leader laughed. You're brave. Stupid, but brave. Then he lifted his chin toward Sam. He owes us. Keanu shook his head slowly. He owes you nothing. The leader's smile vanished. You think you can stop us alone? Keanu did not answer. Instead, Liam stepped forward slowly, shaking, but determined. I was one of you earlier, he whispered. I was angry, I did terrible things too, but I'm done hurting people, I don't want to be like you anymore. The men stared at him in surprise. Liam breathed deeper. Leave Sam alone. He did nothing to you. The leader frowned. You think we care about your change of heart? Before anyone could respond, Tom did something surprising. He stepped forward too, trembling violently, but with a spark of courage no one expected from a man so broken. Don't touch him, Tom whispered. He has nothing. Don't take the little he has left. The men looked confused now. They had expected fear, submission, silence. But instead they were seeing three broken people, Sam, Liam, and Tom, standing together with unexpected strength. Keanu's voice broke the tension. You need to walk away, he said softly. This night is already heavy with enough pain. Don't add more to it. The leader scoffed. And if we don't? Keanu stepped forward. Just one step. But it carried the weight of someone who had seen too much suffering to let more happen in front of him. If you don't, he said in a low voice, then the night will remember what you choose. And so will your future. Something in his tone made the men hesitate. It wasn't a threat. It was a truth. A calm truth. The most dangerous kind. The second man, thinner and younger, shifted nervously. Maybe we should go, he muttered. This is too much trouble. But the leader growled, No, I'm not scared of some stranger. Keanu's eyes softened. This isn't about fear, he said. It's about choice. The leader frowned. Choice? Keanu nodded. You can walk away now and change your life. Or you can hurt someone weaker than you and fall deeper into a life that will destroy you. The leader clenched his jaw, his anger shaking. But deep down, something in Keanu's voice cracked through the wall he had built over years of struggle and bitterness. It wasn't fighting power. It wasn't threat. It was truth. The younger man stepped back again. I'm done, he said. This isn't worth it. He turned and walked away. The third man looked at the leader. Maybe he's right. The leader's face tightened. For a moment, he looked like he would explode. But then, something shifted. Something cracked inside him. He looked at Sam, at the tiny dog, at Tom's trembling hands, at Liam's broken guilt. And for the first time, he really saw them. He took a long breath. Then he turned to Keanu. This isn't over, he muttered. Keanu nodded gently. No one's life is ever truly over. You can still choose better tomorrow. The leader stared at him, confused by the kindness. Then he finally turned and walked away, his footsteps heavy but leaving the night in peace. The remaining man followed quickly. The sound of their steps faded into the distance until only the wind remained. Sam let out a shaky breath he had been holding for too long. His knees almost gave out, but Tom held him up. Liam wiped his face again, overwhelmed by relief and shame. I'm sorry, he whispered to Sam. For everything. For what I did. For being part of people like them. Sam looked at him gently. Your apology matters, he said quietly. And tonight, you tried to help. That means something. Liam nodded, eyes full of tears. Keanu finally turned to them, the tension leaving his body. His voice softened again. You're all safe now. Sam looked at him with deep gratitude. Thank you, he whispered. You didn't have to stay, but you did. Keanu smiled gently. Everyone deserves someone who stays. Tom wiped his tears. You saved us, he whispered. Keanu shook his head slowly. No, you all saved each other. I just stood with you. They stood in the quiet street, four men, each wounded, each different, each searching for something, bound together by one night that showed them kindness could still exist in the darkest places. Keanu helped Sam sit down on a bench near the clinic. He touched the dog gently, who wagged its tail weakly. You're a fighter, Keanu whispered to the small creature. Stay strong. Sam smiled, tears running down his face. He survived tonight because of you. Keanu looked at Sam with warmth. He survived because he had someone who loved him. Sam lowered his head, touched deeply. Liam stepped forward slowly. Can I help you both tomorrow? he asked softly. Maybe bring food? Or blankets? Or anything, I just want to do something right. Sam looked surprised, but then he nodded. You can, he said gently. We all need help sometimes. Liam smiled for the first time that night, a small, fragile smile full of hope. Tom stood beside them, breathing easier now. Maybe I can help too, he whispered shyly. Keanu smiled at him. You already did, he said. They talked for a few more minutes about where Sam could sleep safely that night and how to care for the dog. Then, when the air grew colder, Keanu finally stood. I need to go, he said softly. But remember something, tonight wasn't just about pain. It was about change. About kindness. About choosing who you want to be. Liam nodded deeply. Tom wiped his eyes again. Sam looked at Keanu with gratitude that words could not express. Keanu took a few steps back, giving them a gentle wave. Take care of each other, he said. And take care of that brave little dog. Sam whispered, we will, thank you. Keanu smiled, then turned and walked into the night, disappearing slowly into the dim light until he became part of the shadows. Sam held his dog, feeling warmth instead of fear. Liam stood tall, feeling hope instead of anger. Tom breathed deeply, feeling courage instead of hiding. The night had tried to break them. But instead, it brought them together.